Hey, welcome to Get Good. This video is a continuation of the video I did on painting chain links on the Orok, and in the meantime I've been putting in a bit more paint on the links, the vertical one I've filled in somewhat, and I've blended a bit more on the other links. So this one I'll be starting with the wrecking ball of death. The paints I'm using are the same as I did in the last video, but I'll run through them again real quick. It's in the darkest value, Vallejo German Grey, and in the lightest value I have a Reaper Solid White. Use any white, it doesn't matter too much. And in the middle of those two I use a grey brown from AK 3rd Gen. That means I have a big change in value from the German grey to the grey brown. So I've done two intermediate mixes, like so it's spaced kind of like a third and a third, from the German grey to the grey brown, and then I do the same from the grey brown to the white, have two intermediate mixes in between, just to make everything a bit easier to go back and forth with paint and blending and all that stuff. I really like the grey brown from AK. It gives a bit of warmth to metal, so it works really well with the base I've already put down of the 2 thin coat Cuirass leather. I covered everything on the model in that, a reddish brown, and then I'm painting on top of that. So all the deepest, darkest shadows on the entire model have the same tone and the same value. For this video I am painting under a bright ring light for practical reasons, since it's recorded, and I'm using a Raphael brush. I'm both using a big brush, but later switching to my 00 brush. None of the brushes are new, and it doesn't really matter because the way I'm painting the wrecking ball is kind of scratchy and stipply dotty, so I want some texture in there either way, so it doesn't really matter if the brush is somewhat worn. And actually it's not really very useful to have a super sharp new brush. You will wear on the brush, and the marks you're making with the sharp brush are much smaller and much thinner. I'm painting under magnification as usual. This one is under 2 times magnification, which is my standard go-to, mainly because it lets me see the details very well, so I don't have to do too much glazing. I can kind of stipple the transitions out because they are more visible to me with the magnification. The wrecking ball is lit from the top, so the main reflection is what I'll be painting in today, or at least most of it. Some tweaking will be needed, of course, but the main reflection on the top of the ball, because it's a metallic sphere, I'm painting it in right at the top, where the chain links attach onto the ball itself. I have a big bright reflection there, no additional smaller reflections like you would if it is like a chrome ball, but because this is like an iron or steel ball that it has seen some wear, the light will be more diffused, ending up with like a big bright reflection and not a lot of bouncing. I'll be doing later on the bounce reflection on the bottom of the ball. Not something super complicated, just a bit of increased value from the bottom. But the main reflection is the one that's the most important, also on the main spikes. The way I'm painting it in and blending it out means I'll be kind of like squiggling the brush around and stippling and going a bit back and forth. I build up the layers from dark to light, as I usually do. I almost always paint like that. Sometimes I will go back and put in a bit more shadow or a bit more color or something, but I almost always go from dark to light, building up the layers. I kind of use the first couple of colors to sketch in where I want the bright spot to be and kind of how big, but later on I'll be tweaking it anyways as the light comes on. If I'm not happy with the size of the reflection, I'll just extend the midtones a bit into the darker areas. It is pretty important to have the edges of the spikes to be outlined. Even if I don't put too much color on the spike itself, just having that outline gives definition to the spike. Also the downwards facing spikes. The paints themselves, the mixes, I don't go like too watery on them. I want them to be able to make a mark wherever I put the brush. I don't have a lot of paint on the brush itself. I will be wiping most of it off, like I usually do. But I wanted to be able to make an actual mark on the ball. I'd rather go a bit more back and forth between the colors, because I'm not really interested in blending it too much. Of course, I wanted to look like blended and soft, but I'm happy to have some texture on there, just for the more scratchy look, especially on the spikes. I'm doing like a bit of dotting and a bit of scratching to show that it has hit things before. So in this video, lots and lots of going back and forth, tiny stipple scratchy marks. It takes some time, but because you don't have to be too neat with the blending, it is kind of a freeing way to paint something. When I'm done with the scratchy stipply, I'll do a very very thin glaze of the lighter colors, just to pull things together a tiny bit, but I don't go over it too much, as I want the scratching.
you.